Alaska. Ever wondered if you're ever going to get there without going on some cruise in your 60s? Well, we're here to tell you where to stay, what to eat, where to go, what to do, and most importantly, how to make memories with your kids there. This is Did You Pack Snacks? All right, howdy folks, how you doing? My name is Colin.
And I'm Meg.
Welcome back to Did You Pack Snacks, a family travel podcast. We're just two parents navigating life, talking about all the highs, the lows, the long miles in between of traveling with little ones. And by that, I mean kids.
Yeah.
Not pets, kids.
And we're coming at you thrilled to be here.
Yeah.
Really excited. I feel like life has been lifing us the last 2 months.
It's been winning.
It's been winning. And by saying that, I mean, last week we had to take a week off because of life.
Yeah.
This week.
Can we explain that though?
Sure.
Can you want to tell people we
I don't
won the
remember.
lottery?
Oh,
We're not saying that. No. Exactly. You said you don't remember. I don't either. I just remember like
it was like too many things were happening and the ball had to drop somewhere. And so unfortunately we dropped this ball.
I blame it on dance lessons.
Dance lessons are
like literally all you parents out there that take your kids to dance, we're currently doing that, and I don't know how you do that. And if you enjoy it, please tell me how you're enjoying it, because I'm not enjoying it.
What Colin means by that is we let our kids do one thing a semester.
Yeah, we don't want to commit too much.
Yeah, and so in the fall, Shar chose soccer, Liv chose swim.
Which was like life-giving.
Well, it was fun because we all, like any outside sport, you all get to go to the field and you're all under the lights and you're talking to the other families on the sidelines. Dance is like, we wanted to give them a shot at it, didn't want to rule it out, give them the experience. They're going to have a cute little recital in a few months.
Yeah.
But it's a different vibe because you basically just drop them off.
You just chauffeur them.
It feels like an errand. You're not really hanging out as a family. And so we haven't loved that part of it.
And I don't know about the dance studios you guys go to, but ours is like, once you drop them off, you can't even watch.
Yeah.
Like, it is just curtains up, see you in an hour.
Yep, come back and get your kid.
And so, yeah, life has just been crazy. On top of that, there's sickness going around because everyone is sick in America from like October to like March.
Yeah.
It's just sickness. It just
feels like from, that time frame of the year, you're just like, oh yeah, everyone's sick again. And this week, one of our girls has been sick. And that's why I say that life has been lifing, because I'm just tired. Like, we've been like living life as new parents with a newborn.
Yeah.
We don't currently have a newborn, but like, I just mean that we're not sleeping at night because our kids are really needy. And that has just been wearing on us. We're getting old.
I mean, we've been taking turns sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
I'm yawning through my work calls. Like, it is bad.
It's bad. But knock on wood, she's getting better. But it does bring up something that we wanted to chat about really quick. Just thinking, am I jumping the gun?
No.
Well, so we are supposed to go on a trip next week.
Yes.
On Monday, we're supposed to get on a plane to California. And that thing that's happening right now is one of the four of us just went through a sickness.
Right.
And now we're looking around and it's kind of like
Who's
Russian
next?
roulette. Like, is somebody else going to get it?
It's like we're playing Mafia.
Yeah. You just don't know. You're thinking, well, the likelihood is yes. When do we make the call? How do we move forward with this? And good news is, so this trip would be annoying, but very possible to move. We'd have to change all of our accommodations, maybe pay a little bit more on our airfare. We actually got our tickets using miles, but we might have to add some cash to it because obviously the dates we chose were the cheapest ones. So it's possible to move it, which is kind of like making me feel not stressed out.
And I've already done it twice.
We've already moved the trip twice.
Yeah, like I booked this 5 months ago and I've already like canceled all 8 hotels and rebooked them on different dates twice.
But it was just making me think about that reality. So like for us, this is we don't have a lot on the line with this trip. We could move it around if we really had to. Like, if somebody else stops feeling good this week.
Yeah.
I told Colin, if one more person gets under the weather before we leave, we're moving it. There's no reason that we need to travel when we're feeling bad.
We're going to Disney, and I just don't want to be sick at Disney.
Yeah, I don't want to. But if this was a trip across the world,
Yeah.
and there were like accommodations, this was like something that we planned for a year. Like if there was a lot on the line, what would we do?
Wow, great question, Megan.
Yeah.
We should talk to the audience about this.
Okay.
Good thing we prepared.
So honestly, my answer for this, because I feel like when you are planning a major trip,
Yeah.
and you do have a lot of people in your family, and you're traveling in the months that in our country, in the US, are the worst to travel in because sickness abounds.
Yeah.
You know, like we said, it's just been going around for a while. I feel like the likelihood is pretty high that you're going to leave and someone's not feeling their best.
And that has happened to us so many times.
Yeah.
We went to Copenhagen. We were all sick. We went to Guatemala the first day. It was just y'all were in the hotel, and I was just out scooty pooting around Guatemala City.
Or when we were in Ireland, I had a cough the whole time.
When we were in Hong Kong, I didn't have a voice.
Yeah, that's true. We both lost our voices.
Now that I think about it, are we ever healthy?
But I will say that there's kind of an obvious line. If somebody has a fever, like
Which has happened.
no,
Fevers?
not like the day that we're traveling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like when
Not
you're
on travel day.
when you're deciding like, do we go through with this trip or not? I would say that we wouldn't go through with it if someone had an active fever. I wouldn't put someone on a plane that had like a 103 temperature,
No.
and then I wouldn't put someone on a plane that was like throwing up.
Right.
So those two things, I'm like, well, maybe you need to make sure you have trip insurance, and that's the blessing of trip insurance because
Yeah.
you can pivot if need be.
So that's step one.
But colds and coughs and all that kind of stuff. And as a parent, you know that coughs last like 3 years before they actually go away.
Sometimes 4.
Sometimes 4. We take them with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like we plow ahead. Plans are on par.
Right.
We're still hitting the nose. We're still getting on the plane. We might just bring all the necessary medication to make it as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
But
And-
we're just not in a season that everybody's going to be healthy for much out of the year.
Right. And I would say too, like one of our kids has like extra daily medication, like inhalers and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so we just make sure that we have an extra of that. Our pediatrician have even told us, hey, don't be scared to like come to me. If
Yeah.
you're going to the other side of the world, I will give you antibiotics.
Yeah, she's like, come to me. I'll load you up. I'll give
And
you
so-
anything you need.
Go to your doctors, get all the meds you need, like be prepared, get your travel insurance.
Be a literal pharmacy, and like just know that you have somebody to call. You know, for us, we obviously have our pediatrician that we can reach out to via like an internet chat Monday through Friday. But then we have friends that are gracious enough to answer our phone calls that are doctors on the weekends. And that's a huge gift. And so I think that makes us feel a lot better too, that in a worst case scenario, we can still
Yeah.
quote unquote see a doctor.
If you're listening to this and you listen to this podcast regularly and you are a nurse or a doctor, pediatrician, we just want to take a moment and just round of applause.
We appreciate
Pat
you.
yourself on the back. Pull over, go in the Starbucks right now, get yourself your favorite drink. It's on you.
The worst version of myself is around 2 a.m. in the morning when
Yeah.
one of my kids is sick. And the whole world just feels like this is the end.
Yeah.
And
that's
sometimes
happened.
and the benefit is if I'm in a different time zone, 2 a.m. is actually like the middle of the day here.
Yeah.
So I can panic text one of my doctor friends
Yeah.
and we're all good. And
Yeah.
I get talked down and I'm able to go to sleep.
It's all
that's
great.
that's a benefit too.
Yeah, and I think we ran on this tangent, but really what we want to tell people is like, don't freak out. You're gonna be okay. You're more than likely you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Unless you were like 8 hours away in the Kenyan bush in the Masai Mara, like that one, I don't know.
Well, I think the better point is just saying lower your expectations. Like to expect everyone in your family
that's the
to
better
be,
point?
yeah, it's the better one. If we're
Okay.
going from your point to my point.
I was
this
just
one's-
telling people, don't freak out.
Yeah,
There's
don't freak
pharmacies
out.
everywhere.
That's true.
Yeah.
But also I think the better point would be to lower your expectations because the reality of everyone in your family being at prime health for this magical trip that you've planned
Yeah.
is probably like, it's like winning the lottery
Yeah.
to get everybody super healthy on a plane.
Yeah.
So just lower your expectations a bit
Yeah.
and know that you're gonna be fine.
So what you're saying is the best point is don't freak out. Just be prepared.
Yeah.
But don't freak out. That's the best thing you say.
It's the second best.
Yeah.
And then for us, I would say that we are going to live this out in real time. So next week, we'll either be live from California.
If there's no episode, you know why.
No. We'll either be live from California or we'll be live from our guest room telling you what we decided in terms of traveling. Because if I get this sickness, which we actually got her tested, and just for, curiosity's sake, she's negative on anything. It's a
negative flu.
It's a no-name virus that just looks like all of those viruses.
Yeah.
So anyway, if one of us gets the no-name virus, if it's me, we could still power through. If it's you, we're not gonna make it out the front door.
Why? Why? Oh, come on. Okay, Meg's implying that all men are weak.
I didn't say all.
I thought for a second you were like, we can't go on this trip because you made all the plans, everything's on your phone, like you know the itinerary, you know what rental car company we're going. I thought you needed me.
That's what I meant.
Oh, no you didn't. No you didn't. You're saying that
Okay. Moving on. We can talk about this.
There needs to be an
hours.
episode about like guys and husbands, like we can be sick too. Okay? We can be sick too.
You can be sick too.
But should we talk about Alaska now?
Yeah, let's talk about Alaska.
That's
what we came here to do.
That's right. That's why we are in our guest room.
Yeah.
At God knows what hour.
Making this happen.
For the people.
I love it.
Because they deserve it.
And this is my favorite thing to do.
It's been a long winter.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to get in the car and drive. Sometimes you just want to put on a podcast that it's okay to listen to with the kids in the car.
Yeah, and they're like, "Mom, can we listen to music?" And you're like, "No. We're listening to this." But it's okay because you know that we're not going to say anything terrible.
We're not going to say any bad words. We're not going to nothing like politically extreme.
Yeah.
Like we're just good vibes.
We're just chatting over coffee. It's
hey kids, y'all just let your mom and dad have their moment, okay?
Yeah.
They've been working hard all their lives. Eat your goldfish.
And we're going to talk about some animals in this episode.
Yeah. So if y'all want to...
exciting.
Yeah, so buckle up. Stay tuned. Yeah. What was that thing at the end of Lessons in Chemistry that she would say?
Oh, I don't remember.
It was like, kids, go make the table. Your mom needs a minute. Oh, something like that.
That's so true. That I wouldn't recommend that as a family watch, but as an adult watch, that show. What's it on?
It's on Apple TV.
It's obviously a book too, but it was a great little binge.
Wow, great.
So
binge.
heavy, kind of sad.
Sad, but like wholesome though.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of sad because I wrote down what TV show we're currently watching and we didn't get to talk about it.
Well, you just.
But then we're already in Alaska. Do people really want to know?
You just did a segue. You might as well.
It's also our show, so who cares? You're driving anyways. Keep driving. Focus on the GPS and listen to me. This is the show you need to be watching. Go on Peacock. Watch the show called The Traitors. There's a US version. There's an Australian version. But start with the UK version. Why? Because I just love everything British. The Traitors UK. That's all I have to say about it.
Well, I will add a disclaimer. It took you about 4 episodes to enjoy it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you were like, what is this?
Well, but I just had to keep watching to get to the good part.
Yeah, it's a sister show of like Big Brother, Survivor. Like it's a game show, but they're living it out in real life. But yeah, it's a good watch.
It's as if you're playing Mafia, except you're in the Scottish Highlands. You're in a castle, and every night someone gets, axed out of the show.
And there are a few parts that seem a little bit eerie, but I would say overall it's family friendly.
It's been a family show, and through this sickness, this show has gotten our family together.
It's bonded us. And she got home from dance and looked at the TV and saw that it was paused.
She said, "What if y'all watch Traitors without me?" And I'm like, "You're 7. Let us have our show. Go to bed."
Okay.
All right. Alaska. Here we go. The last frontier. I want to just start by let's have a vibe check of Alaska.
Okay. That's a good place to start.
Describe, you've spent some time in Alaska. Describe Alaska to someone who has never been and dispel some of those myths real quick.
Well, I mean, we just for context, we spent a month living in Anchorage, Alaska. And then we just ventured out to more rural places, which we'll talk about later. So my experience was, when you think about Alaska, you think about that show that they lived in the woods.
The Alaskan Bush People?
Yeah.
I love that show.
With all the siblings?
Yeah, Bam Bam. Who else was there?
I don't remember. There were lots of brothers.
I want to say Bam Bam, John, Jonathan, Johnny.
Or
But
the
there was a
daughters'
Bam
names
Bam.
were like River.
Moonlight, Night Owl.
Okay.
Someone.
Anyway, that's what I imagined. If you haven't seen that show, it's this family that literally lives in the bush of Alaska, makes everything themselves. And it was wild to watch and very wow, that they live on a different planet.
And that was our life for a whole month.
No, that was not our experience. So even though Anchorage, when you drove quote unquote downtown, it wasn't really like a proper downtown that you would imagine in one of the biggest cities in the state.
It's like a small city.
It was like a really small city, very manageable. You could walk around even. We lived in a place where we could walk around. I said that twice.
Great podcast. Vibe, Megan. Get to the vibe.
My vibe was that it was an accessible rural place to explore. I didn't feel like I was stripped of all of the things that I wanted. You could still go to the store and the coffee shop and restaurants, and you felt like you lived in a city. You saw a bunch of people every day. But then if you drove in 20 minutes in either direction, we drive 20 minutes on the highway one way, and we'd be seeing whales out of the car window.
Yeah.
Or we drive 20 minutes north and we're in the middle of nowhere. We pull over at a lake and it just looks like the most magical scene from a National Geographic magazine. But then you went back to civilization and had all the comforts and things that you felt like, I don't know, we're used to having. You know what I mean? I wasn't roughing it by any means. Anchorage had it all.
Yeah.
So I think for me, granted, somebody else could go and have a completely different experience. If you pick the more rural experience, you're not going to relate to that sentiment at all because you're choosing to live in Denali National Park in a tent, and that's your choice. You know what I mean?
By mosquitoes.
But if you relate to our experience and you kind of want some comforts from home and you want to do day trips to those rural, beautiful places, then I think Alaska, the vibe check, is that it was a lot more accessible for a family and a family with young kids than I initially thought it would be.
Yeah. To me, when people ask me what it was, I said immediately that it's not a state. It's all a hoax. It's just a giant national park.
You said that before or after we went?
After. I'm because literally it feels wild.
Yeah.
It
Well, even driving in Anchorage, they have pictures of moose that cross through the road, or one of the places that they tell you to go watch for moose is the road behind the airport, the international airport. That's apparently where there's a lot of moose sightings.
Right. A lot of meese.
A lot of meese. That's not right.
But yeah, it was wild, and it just had so many wide open spaces. And to me, it brought back a lot of road trip memories. I think that's where we got our first road trip hours done. If we had our 10,000 hours, Alaska gave us that.
Yeah, because we definitely, one of the things just to note about being there is if you left Anchorage and you had a 3 to 4 hour drive to your weekend destination, which we tried to do something every weekend, you wouldn't have but one gas station on that drive.
Well, maybe 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe 3.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying 1 to 3, that would be it. There's no towns, there are no stores. So that was essentially where the birth of Digipack Snacks. I mean, that was when we started asking that question.
Wow.
You had to be prepared in that car.
I was not expecting this to be an origin story podcast.
But it's true. I just remember we'd load up the car with snacks because we knew that we'd have little to nothing.
You're right.
And then if we saw a sketchy pizza place.
Stop.
Or if we saw a sketchy ice cream place.
Stop
every time. Yeah. Because you're not going to see another.
And was it ever sketchy? No.
No.
It was the best.
Yeah.
The best.
It was
as
the
Nacho
best.
Libre would say. So yes, I want to just dispel real quickly. I used to thought.
Think.
I used to.
Sometimes I just let your your little cute things go. But yeah, that one I'm gonna.
I used to think that like I had to be like in my 50s. I had saved up and I was the grandfather that like took all the grandkids to Alaska on a cruise with me.
Yeah.
And we did our things. We saw the glacier, the whales, and that is your like typical postcard Alaskan experience. Mm-hmm. Little did I know we would be going there in our early 30s immediately going to Walmart upon landing to buy car seats, to load them up and like go grocery shopping and just experience like kind of life in a place like Alaska. So I think, I don't want you to think that it's just like a cruise destination, because it's not. Juneau,
it's
maybe.
Way more than that. Yeah.
But like, Alaska is just like, it's just gorgeous. Mm-hmm. It's just beautiful. And that's why I said it's like a giant national park. It's because even driving on the highway, you're like, how is this real? Mm-hmm. It's not like you got to get to the destination to see the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's the whole drive there. It's just beautiful.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, these people live here.
Yeah.
They like are so one with nature.
Yeah.
They're so connected.
And people who live there are so adventurous. Like, I just feel like all of their things that they do for fun are being outside and enjoying what's around them. Like, that's just the lifestyle of people who live in Alaska.
And maybe that's why like we even fell in love with that. Mm-hmm. Because the people there were like, if it's like beautiful or rainy or a little bit cold, we're getting dressed and we're going out.
Yeah, there's no such thing as bad weather. You just dress differently.
Alaska made us.
Alaska.
Okay, where to home base if you are going to Alaska? Quick disclaimer. If you are going to cruise, more than likely you're going to go to Juneau. And Juneau is beautiful. We've never been there.
Yeah.
And we have to be there. And I still want to go on my Alaskan cruise and do all that when we're 50. Mm-hmm. So we've never been to Juneau. But like Megan said, we base ourselves in Anchorage. Let's count all our day trips that we did. That was very easy to do. Mm-hmm. We went to the state fair in Palmer, which is like an hour away, where we had reindeer tacos and salmon.
And then in the same day, we went to a reindeer farm to let our kids pet the reindeer.
You even kissed a moose.
I kissed a moose.
I wish I remembered his name. And then we went we went to Whittier, we went to Seward, where we went to the Kenai Fjords National Park. We hiked on a glacier. Mm-hmm. Like and this glacier is just like it's called the Byron Glacier. We hiked there with our 2-year-old, and our 2-year-old got to just play around. And, do you remember one of them? We didn't make it to the bathroom there.
Yeah. It was one of those moments where you're a mile from your car and one of the girls had an accident. And I look over at Colin, like, in these moments, I'm really thankful that I'm paired with somebody who's much more chill than I am, because I looked at him like the world was ending. Like, what are we going to do? She just peed her pants. Yeah. And Colin was like, we're already here. Let's just keep playing. Like, what's the difference? She's happy. The ground is wet. She's wearing jeans. It's all going to just be the same mess anyway.
There's like literally nothing we could do.
Right. So let's just keep enjoying it. And I just thought for a second, oh, all right.
Wow. I want to just cut that clip and I'm going to post that as a reel.
Okay.
And I'm going to like it and share it with
It was a good parenting moment where I was just like, chill, whether we take her back to the car now or in 45 minutes, it's not going to change the fact that she has wet pants.
Where else did we go?
I went on a day trip. It was like, we couldn't both go because we had no one to watch our kids. But I read about, it was like 2.5 hour drive from Anchorage. You could actually hike on top, because Byron Glacier, you walked up to it and you kind of just looked at it. But
I mean, you're still walking on ice and everything.
But what is it? Matanuska Glacier?
Matanuska, you were actually like wearing crampons and going in.
Yes, and we like went into the glacier on this guided hike, and I did that myself. I kind of felt like a baller. Yeah. And that was a really cool experience.
Meanwhile, while you were at the glacier, I took the kids to like a playground that was at like an elementary school. But the backyard of that playground was the glacier. And I'm like, kids are going to like elementary school looking at a glacier.
And then we did some we went to a beautiful place called Hatcher Pass. Mm-hmm. And then closer things to Anchorage. I mean, it was like everywhere. If you left 20 minutes away from Anchorage, there was a place called Eagle River Nature Center. Do you remember that?
That was our first stop.
It was our first stop. When we first got to Anchorage, we were like, we have to see something beautiful today. And so we just went there. And that's where we saw our first moose
Yep.
off in the distance. So anyway, we're rambling now, just listing off all of these places. But I will say that something that's different is Juneau. Again, we've never been. It's popular to go there on those like Pacific Northwest cruises. I've heard that it's beautiful. You can see whales and waterfalls, but it's not accessible to the rest of Alaska by road. You would have to take a plane or a ferry. Anchorage, however, is accessible to everything but Juneau by highways. Beautiful, great highways. And so I think that was the biggest difference, is I felt like we got to see so much of Alaska because Anchorage was kind of the gateway to all of these different day trips, weekend trips. I mean, some of the things that we saw, like when we drove all the way up to Denali and then even further north to Fairbanks, probably should have been more than a weekend trip, but we kind of just like took advantage of our time there.
Well, we looked at the weather app and you said, screw that, we're going right now. Pack up the bags. Let's go a day early.
Yeah.
And made it a long weekend.
And we made it a long weekend.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I just think the benefit of Anchorage from our experience is just that it was so accessible to so many other things that we could see.
Yeah. And like during the week, I literally was working at a Barnes and Noble.
Right.
Like, you know, you would take the kids on walks, and I think with my job, like we were able to publish like a book.
Right.
Because I was editing a book from Barnes Noble in Alaska. So like it gives you that contrast. Some more notable things to do. A lot of people go to Homer, which is a 4-hour drive from Anchorage. You can fly there, of course, on like a cheap local airline. I forgot what it's called. But Homer is like the home to fishing. If you want to go on those expeditions and catch halibut, like Homer is the place to go. We did that on one weekend where we got an Airbnb. It was kind of off season. We knew like, all right, this is where we want to go whale watching. But we were like, you know what? If we see some sea otters, I'd be happy. Mm-hmm. And so we went up to the tour. The little boat comes. It was like an older lady, and the boat could fit like 6 people. So we were with our friends, and she's like, so what do you guys want to see today?
And we literally said otters because we just assumed that the whales were gone.
Right. And she said, you guys don't want to see whales? I just saw a bunch on the way here. And we were like, shut up.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
a bad word, Colin. This is a family-friendly podcast.
Oh. Do we have to put the explicit sign?
I'm just joking. But then she brought us back out and we saw these humpback whales, and it was just the coolest experience. We were alone in the bay.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those moments that you'd expect that you're chasing whales and there are like 10 tourist boats doing the same thing, but we were by ourselves.
Yeah. And that's just like the gift of Alaska. And we saw a lot of otters.
And then another place that we did a weekend trip to was Seward. And that was like a small town. It had cute vibes. There's a big aquarium there. There was a really cool playground there for the kids. But most people head to that part to go to the national park.
Yes. Kenai Fjords, where you can do a lot of hikes. We brought strollers.
Well, they had
like
a
short hikes.
handicap accessible hike
Yes.
that we brought the strollers into because the girls were like done. I
Yeah.
mean, they were 2 and
2 and 4.
4 at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
anyway.
now they're 16, 17.
Yeah, they grow up so fast.
So fast. But no, people also go to Seward because of the tours to go see whales, to go see the fjords from the ocean. But we went in September, and by then, like, it was already done.
Yeah, well, they said that they could take us out, but they were like, you're probably not going to see anything. So we didn't.
Yeah. Which is why Homer was such a big surprise. And remember what that lady said? She said a lot of the whales do migrate to go mate.
Mm-hmm. But the older ones don't make the trip anymore.
Did you not think, like, whales have the M word, too? Am I allowed to say the M word?
What's the M word?
Menopause?
Oh, is that really true?
Yeah, they're like the whales that are done mating for their lives.
I know, but is it called menopause? Can we leave this in because this is hilarious?
Whaleopause. But like
I was just gonna say like the older whales. Like maybe we don't have to make like a scientific claim.
Sure.
I can't wait to Google this.
But they're like the ones that are like don't care about mating anymore. They just hang around. Like why swim all the way to Hawaii?
For what?
For what?
I know. Who's doing that anymore?
I mean, I would if I was a whale.
Yeah, it's
but,
really nice there.
Yeah. But yeah, and so Alaska, man, can we talk about Fairbanks? And we didn't really go into Denali real quick.
Yeah, Denali was it was a bucket list thing. I feel like we love national parks and we knew that we wanted to go. And I think I was a little bit surprised about how rural Denali National Park is.
Yeah.
Like it's got
It's a 4 or 5 hour drive north from Anchorage.
But it's like once you get there, there's a beautiful visitor center and there's like, I don't know how many miles of paved road.
You get about 15 miles.
Yeah. And then that's it.
And then after that is if you have a permit to go camp or hike and you have to get on their shuttles.
Yeah. But when we were there, we got to drive on the dirt roads.
Because there was an avalanche at like mile 30. That weekend only they opened so you can drive all the way to mile 30.
Okay, so we got lucky.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
saw lots of moose.
So I guess a normal situation would be somebody would park at the visitor center and their transit would take them down to mile 30. Is that my understanding?
Beyond.
And beyond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of hiking, lots of
I see. But I was surprised that it's much more rural. Like a lot of places that we visited, like I don't know, Yellowstone or
it's definitely
Zion
not
or
your Yosemite where there's a bar and a cafeteria. And,
it's just wilderness with an occasional bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
And really, it's just like one big main road. But it's like when you get there, the word that I used to describe it was Atahalan. And if you don't know what Atahalan is, like, are you even a parent? But it's. Do I really have to explain Atahalan now?
Just say that it's a place in the movie Frozen.
Yeah, where their mom is from, where the Northuldra people are from, and it's just enchantment. Every like
beautiful colors.
I remember the trees were like purple. Mm-hmm. Like, why are trees purple right now?
Because it's
it was also September. And
you mean in Denali? I thought you were talking about in Atahalan.
I might as well be Denali. And so Atahalan National, that's a great national name for a national park.
Mm-hmm. No, but we were in Denali in like their Alaska experiences fall really quickly. It's like a 3-week period. And we were there during that time. So all of the leaves were changing. Like it was just a beautiful fall landscape.
Yeah, we got there September 1st and it was like sunny, a little chilly in the 60s. By the middle of that, like everything had changed colors. Like the hillside was just orange and red in full bloom. And by the last few days, it was hailing and snowing.
Yeah, we got to experience summer, fall in the first few days of
which
winter.
I say it's a pretty good month to visit because, like you said, like there were not a lot of tourists.
Yeah.
They were all gone. The shops in Denali were all shut down.
Yeah, the restaurants were pretty empty. But it was cool because we were there. We didn't see any bears in Denali.
No.
But we saw a lot of moose.
We did see a caribou.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did see
which is a wild reindeer.
Yeah. And then we saw moose got really close to our car in Denali. Remember, it ran across the road?
Yeah, and then it wallowed.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that is?
It's something to do with finding a mate.
It's when they pee on the ground and then they roll around in it.
To create a scent.
Yeah, cologne. Yeah, to attract females.
Wow, such a scientific podcast.
We saw all that, yeah. It's for the kids. I told y'all kids that we were going to see some animals.
But I felt like Denali was definitely a bucket list experience. And then when we were up there, we decided to continue on to Fairbanks.
Yeah.
I've been having to do that. Sorry.
Oh, gosh. Going to have to edit that out now. So much work.
Okay, sorry.
What we're going to do in Fairbanks? You still need a minute? Let's all wait. Awkward pause.
Stop. Okay. It made me lose my train of thought.
Fairbanks.
Okay, so then after Denali, I looked at my app and we were still chasing the Northern Lights and it said that we are going to have a great chance to see them in Fairbanks. So what do? Load up them kids. We're driving another 3 hours.
2-3 hours, yeah.
To Fairbanks to keep the kids up really late to stare at very cloudy skies.
Oh.
We did not see them.
This is why I hate
But it was worth the adventure.
We've done this twice in our lives, y'all, where we go like read the radar and go find them.
It hasn't worked out for us.
No, and then what hurts even more is the next day. Somebody saw it at 3 a.m.
Yeah, say that we went home at like 1:30 because our kids were asleep in the backseat of the car. Somebody at the hotel lobby was like, yeah, they came out at 3 a.m. I'm like, I'm just not that. I got children. Can the skies not give me an 11 p.m. sighting?
Yeah, we need a matinee.
I need a matinee. 3 a.m. I can't do that anymore.
Where in the world can we have matinee Northern Lights? That's where we need to go.
Okay. But I will say that Fairbanks is known for being a place where you can see the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
And it's like so close to the Arctic Circle that I think you can see them from like September to April.
Yeah.
If the clouds are
And there's
gone.
also it's a big college town too, so you can go to school there too if you want.
Oh yeah, big college town.
Yeah,
What college is there?
University of
Fairbanks.
Alaska Fairbanks campus.
University of
I don't know, but it was huge.
Atahallan.
It was like half of the city was the university.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This is why we need a producer so they can fact check this.
Yeah, so somebody can be behind the camera
From
giving
schools
like,
to, like,
2 thumbs up or holding a whiteboard. That's like
Google, do whales have monopause? All right, moving on. Things we wish we did in Alaska and things you should do in Alaska. I got one.
Okay.
I wish I went on those bear expeditions where I got like on a little plane and we flew to the island where you like land and you get to see these bears from like 500 yards away. That is number one.
Not really kid friendly, but on like a dad excursion.
It might be kid friendly.
I don't know. Maybe.
The second one I want to do is, yes, you have to get on another plane to go to see the bears catching salmon at the river, at the mouth of the river. That's at, I think, Katmai National Park.
Sounds
Another
right.
national park.
Sounds right.
I just want to see bears.
Yeah, I think for me, I wish that we had done more of like, I guess we were there, we could have gone north and seen a lot of snow. But I just think about all like the dog sledding stuff, like the snowshoeing, being outside, that kind of stuff, which I think we didn't do because of the age of our kids.
Yeah, they were 2 and 4.
Right. So we can,
Hey, some families are like, yeah, so
yeah, so let's get out there.
that's a Minnesota.
But we didn't really experience any of that. But I feel like, honestly, we did check off like a lot of the experiences that I wanted to.
Yeah. Okay, one major thing we have not talked about, and then I think we've given Alaska a good podcast episode. We haven't talked about the money.
I need another popsicle.
You're trying to get me sick before our trip?
No. Okay.
We have not talked about the money, and I think a lot of people think Alaska is expensive. And you know what? They're right.
It is. I like housing was expensive. Our Airbnb for an entire month
Was $5,000, and that's after me asking for a discount. Yes, you can do that on Airbnb.
And that was for an Airbnb that wasn't even nice. We're not going to link them.
No link in the show notes.
No
Do
link
not
in the
scroll
show
down.
Yeah. And so I would say that,
But we also booked that like late in the game.
That's true. There's
So
probably
maybe
more
you can
if you're
find
a
better
planner.
ones. Yeah.
But overall, I would say that prices were elevated.
Mm-hmm.
Like food was a little bit more expensive, rental car a little bit more expensive.
Eating out was expensive.
Housing was a little bit more expensive just because you're limited in your choices. So it's like supply and demand. They can be more expensive.
Yeah.
But the thing that's so different is the majority of our time that we spent outside exploring was free.
Free.
Like all the things that we wanted to see were free.
Free.
Even hiking the glacier, like that was the one quote unquote expedition that I did. It was like $20 or $30.
Right.
It was very affordable.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just think that in that perspective, when you go like, when you're planning out your budget items, you're not knocking off all of these excursions that are just going to add to your budget. If you can make housing work, if you eat meals at home, if you pack snacks from the gas station, you're going to have a great trip because you will not run out of things to do outside.
Yeah, I would say do book like 1 or 2 like expeditions because you're in Alaska.
You have to see whales. Yeah, but
Yeah.
but I'm just saying if you're there for an extended period of time, there's so much to see.
Right,
for
like
free.
in your week, like in your downtime, there's so much you can see and do for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last thing.
What's the last
We
thing?
didn't tell them about the ice cream place.
Dude, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Are we like married or something?
I guess. You can say it because my throat feels tingly and I don't want to keep coughing.
And I don't want to edit out another cough episode. Last but not least, y'all, we'll leave you with this. If you're in Anchorage and you want the best ice cream in the whole wide world, all you got to do is drive south, okay? Drive about 45 minutes. You'll pass Beluga Point where, yes, as the name suggests, you can park your car and watch for beluga whales. I'm not kidding. We saw them. If you keep driving, there's a little gas station, okay? A Speedway Express. You pull in, you park your car, and you're like, there's a pizza shop and an ice cream shop. How convenient. You walk into that ice cream shop, you'll be blown away. It's the best ice cream you'll ever eat in your whole life. Why? Because it's native Alaskan flavors that you'll find nowhere else on this planet. You'll get flavors like moose tracks. Wait, can you get that at like anywhere?
Okay, some of them are just literal puns about Alaskan things.
Okay.
But then
that was not this point. I was getting there. This is it. But y'all, they had this one flavor called fireweed, which is like this weed that grows in Alaska only and has this bright flower that only comes out at late summer. And when it's in season, y'all, it makes the best ice cream ever. They had, just all kinds of cool plants that only grow there that they turn into ice cream.
It was amazing. It was great ice cream. You got to eat there. Grab a piece of pizza, get some ice cream.
You know what folks need to do? Folks need to go on YouTube, type in Colin and Meg, and they'll see our first ever vlogs.
Oh, God, don't.
Please forgive us.
Please don't
we
watch
were
it.
We were, newbies, but
I will say, if you watch that one, sure. But then watch like our most recent one from Hong Kong and then just be like, oh, they've grown so much.
I hope so. Gosh, don't count on it.
But we do give a live review of the ice cream in the video. Is that what you're saying?
Follow us along to the whales, the moose hunting, not hunting, like moose tracking in the
Finding.
Denali. Yeah, like the Alaskan State Fair. It's just really fun. Like, go watch that. Go subscribe. And if you've been listening to this podcast and you haven't already, we please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
It's almost my birthday month, so then this is going to soon be like a birthday ask.
Okay, forget about the review. Just go to Apple and say, happy birthday, Megan. Great podcast. That's all we want.
That's all we want.
So with that, folks, we'll leave you until next week. We'll see if we're going to be sick or not, if it's going to be live from California or
live from South Carolina.
We'll see. But in the meantime, do not forget to pack snacks.
Bye.